I'm 56 and got started, later in this, but I have 56 years of being in business and developing relationships and just asking questions and all that. So philosophies, I mean, unfortunately, my uncle, who was my partner in Max and Louie's, Max was his father, Louie was my grandfather. His favorite philosophy or term was, don't invent it, copy it and adjust it, or something like that.
That's essentially what everyone does anyways. I mean, nobody's reinvented. Right. So, even everything, especially in the restaurant business and hospitality business, but now especially with digital.
So, you asked me, earlier, and I get sidetracked, but so I felt, Max and Louie's, I had this idea that it can work in every city. And every is a big word, but in many cities will say similar to San Antonio. Every day someone comes in from St. Louis or from Cleveland or from Austin or whatever it is, and they say, "Oh, when are you opening? When are you opening? When are you opening?" And and my head gets spinning, and okay, we got to open up stores and do all that, and then COVID hits and things change. Your thought patterns change. This whole, the virtual ghost cloud, whatever you want to call it, kitchen thing. It was being done, but not really, no one really knew about it like it is now. And so I'm listening to you on a Restaurant Owner that day, and you're, talking about all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I have Max and Louie's concept, and I have about 6 or 7 other concepts that I could launch literally tomorrow, and now I'm like, hey, maybe I can do Max and Louie's in all those places that I talked about without having a $1.5 million, $2 million build and 60, 70 employees and all the risk and all those things that go along with it. When you and I talked, and I, typically don't joke about business that much.
We have to joke a little bit.
No. Again, there's a lot of jokes. Yeah. But, when I said to you, maybe I'll come to San Diego and you have Cali on one side and Max and Louie's on the other, and we have a shared space in the middle where people can take their stuff and go and sit, a nice, common, cool area, the what do you call it? The communal patio, where it's digital. Everybody, all the delivery services are taking the stuff, but if people want to come to the door and pick it up and sit and eat, correct. What's wrong with that? And what does that cost? A lot less. No matter what it costs, it's a lot less.
It's a lot less. Yeah. And that's what's exciting for me, is the more that I have these conversations and I meet other people that are doing incredible things in other markets, it's, we're all sharing these ideas on all these different platforms, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on their website. Like, there's access to information that we've never had before, where if I hear, like, I've just been leaning into Clubhouse. It's an app. If you're not on Clubhouse, please, if you're listening to this podcast, please get on Clubhouse. We're going to start hosting our weekly digital hospitality leadership call. So Stover, my producer, Toby, who we brought in to help us with digital strategy for the podcast, Kyle, who does our website, Aaron, who runs the media side of our production. We have a weekly Zoom call, but now I'm going to host it on Clubhouse, and I'm going to host it as open sourced. Literally anybody that listens to this podcast, like, it's an interactive way for us to have a conversation every week that, hey, you heard an idea about ghost kitchens, or, you had Drew on and he was talking about, all these different markets and how he grew from, half of a restaurant to a full restaurant and what he would have done differently. It's this interactive space where all of us can share these ideas, restaurantowner.com, the webinar. This is the world that we live in, and it's a matter of, what are we going to do with it? How are we going to use that information to actually make an impact for our business, or actually do something that is inspirational for our community, for our village? And, we joke about it, but I don't think it's a joke at all. I agree with you, and we wouldn't be, where we are now if there wasn't a possibility of it, but we don't know what that's going to be, and just by having the conversation, you and I can start to talk about technology. I talk all the time about Toast. It's our point of sale technology. We switched from Aloha to Toast. We made a Toast unboxing video. It's one of the key pieces of pillar content that I talk about when I talk to any other business owner about why making social media content about your business partners makes sense. Because yes, it's not for the customer. Obviously, I don't have any customers coming into my restaurant to buy Toast point of sale equipment, but the amount of people and the amount of engagement that we got as a business from other restaurant owners who are literally making that same decision makes it worthwhile, because that's a way for us to give back to the industry.